Good morning, everyone. It's 7 o'clock. Once again, Friday morning, which I am just so pleased that all of you are here as we end up, educating, informing, and taking a challenge call to action. I appreciate it. What we're talking about today, I know a number of you on this call could give this presentation, and I will ask you to share things in the share in our chat, but also we might have time to be able to open it up. We don't open up for conversation, but we might. If you think of something that I might have missed and that you might want to share, then I would say to you, let's do that, because it's important for all of us to get people to the conventions. And I think that is just so, to be able to have our voice, our participation is so important. But let me say thank you to a number of people that are, with Bisa, Karen, Donna, that are actually on the call and help us behind the scenes all the time. Pat Hastings, I see that you've clicked in too. So I just want to say thank you on all of that. I also am going to share something. We're not going to get into it. We were going to have Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel on the call today, but because she is going to be stepping down next week, and there will be an election for that position, and I'm sure you've all seen it in the news and heard all about it, but there will be an election, and it's really pretty much a confirmation, quite honestly, to be quiet, and that's going to be in Houston on March 7th. Is the 7th? No, what is Thursday? March 6th. Is that right? March 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Thank you, Barbara. I see you shaking your head. I'm like going, where's my calendar? So we will be in Houston to do that. It's a spring training. And then after we have our general meeting, then I'll go into giving us updates of what the RNC has planned for the rest of the year. So I just thought I would give you guys that update and let you know what's going on there. It's always exciting. There's always something new happening. And as we are in primaries, I see, so many of us have people that we know outside of our Republican circle that we really need to encourage to get out to vote. I have been talking to people across the state about a number of different topics, but then we go into how's the voting going, and the numbers are down. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Karen, you were telling me yesterday, Karen Marshall, that the mail-in ballots are nominal, way down. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are the core. You guys are the leaders of, the grassroots, and we need to be able to encourage the people to go out and vote. So my goal, and which I've been trying to do, is I've been reaching out. I've got a list, and where, telling people, you need to go vote. And I text them. And I know we're getting a lot of texts, but I'm doing a personal text. And I got to say thank you to TFRW. I saw that they reached out. In fact, I participated in their day of action, which was texting this past Monday, and texted 400 people. I did. I saw their names, but it was very easy to do. So if you see that, that call to action again, I ask you to join in with them, because they're reaching out across the state and they're focusing on Hispanics. So, but it's up to us to get the people out, and we just can't assume. And I know you hear this, but I just can't believe how low our turnout is. So we have a week to make a difference, and we've got election day coming up on March 5th. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Continue to do our work we're doing, but make a little extra effort to reach people that are outside our little circle of influence with Republicans. Well, now let's get going, and we are going to, Okay, so we have this. We're going to share. Aha, there you go. I am, and then let's start from the beginning. So this is quite interesting. I have, let's see, I've got to move this someplace else. Okay. Okay, so let me see, where do I end up? Do I change this like that? Yeah, okay. So we're going to talk about the road to convention. We're going to look through all of the, and we're going to look at all of the different all of the different conventions. But you know, what I love about conventions is that, that it is a time for us to come together to network. I mean, we get to see people, you know, maybe somebody that we know and didn't realize that they were wanted to be involved, or we want to bring someone with us to get involved for the first time to understand what our process is. And as I go around and if I speak about conventions at different organizations, the one thing I love telling people is that Texas is so lucky because we actually allow the grassroots to participate. We allow them to have a voice. We are such a strong grassroots state to where I know other states that they might have conventions, but all they do is elect delegates. They don't talk about the rules. They don't talk about the platforms. So there are so many different things that are going on in for Texas that we allow the people to have a voice. And that is so important for us to do that. And that's one reason what I love about being involved in conventions. I've been going to them for years. And I have gone to many all the way through, you know, from the precinct convention all the way to the national. And every single one of them is unique and important to our process. And the one, you know, so what we do, our major function is to pass resolutions, and also to talk about delegates. I mean, not talk, elect delegates and alternates to go to the next convention. Now, of course, you go to the national convention, there isn't a next one, but to get up all the way to the national. But here we have, right here is, these are our dates that we need to be aware of. Now, I think everybody that I have noticed that have come on to the call this morning, I think you guys already have these dates written down. But there's one date that is not in here that I think is important, and that is the precinct convention date. You know, years ago, it used to be only after the polls closed on the primary date. Everybody did the same thing. Well, it became a little complicated for like a lot of our precinct chairs who are the judges and or the workers, and they weren't able to get to the precinct convention, or if they were having one in their precinct, they weren't able to participate, or they participated, and then it took longer to get the ballots to the location to be counted. So it became a little more of a challenge, and we wanted to make sure that more people were able to participate if they wanted to, especially the precinct chair. And so that is, as you see here, it says must be after polls close on March 5th. So it can be March 5th all the way to the county or senatorial convention, which is on March 23rd. And we'll talk a little bit more about dates, and I'll throw out, you know, have some people share when their dates are. You might be able to put them in the chat if you would. And then, so you see March 23rd, that is a county convention or senatorial. County, how is that determined? That is determined on whether or not your county as a whole is represented by a senator, one senator. Here in Kendall County, where I live, where Bisa lives, we have Senator Campbell, and she represents all of Kendall County. So we have a county convention. If you live in like Harris County or Bexar County or Dallas County, you know, counties that are split. Now, sometimes small counties are split too, but they have multiple senators that represent them. Then you're going to have a senatorial convention, and then you will meet in the designated area. As we all know, we have, well, not all of us, but maybe I would say the majority of us on this call, May 23rd to the 25th, our state convention is going to be in San Antonio. And then our national will be July 15th through the 18th in Milwaukee. Now, when I say like the state convention, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll get more involved in that in a second. So what are some of the guidelines to have a precinct convention? Well, first of all, you must have voted in the primary. If you voted in the Democrat primary, you cannot participate in the Republican precinct convention. You have to do that. You can do an oath of affiliation, but if you haven't voted in either one, but basically you should vote, as we all want to encourage people to vote. One thing I love about a precinct convention, you can have one person, just one, be your, to have a quorum. Well, first of all, there's no quorum needed. So if you have one person, you can have the convention. Now, the good thing about that is that you get to be totally in control. You get to be the chairman, you get to be the secretary, you get to take all those minutes, and then you get to send all the information in to the county chair, so it counts. And you can accept all the resolutions and so on. But it's like there are details on the texasgop.org. You go to convention, click on the precinct convention, and if you scroll down, you'll see they've got everything that you need. They've done an excellent job in having that information available. So you think, well, I'm the precinct chair and I haven't gotten anything. Well, take this, or be assertive. Go on there, go on the Texas GOP, get the information, and then have your own precinct convention. It tells you line by line how to do it. You can't go wrong, but make sure. Some people like, well, I'm the only one here, so I'm not going to have it. Well, you have to be able, you can have it. You have to declare yourself the chair. Then you have to declare yourself the secretary. You take the notes and you get everything. Then you end up doing the delegates. Now, remember that as a delegate, to get a delegate to the next level, the county or senatorial convention, you have to be written down, and you don't have to attend. I recommend that you do, but you do not have to attend the precinct convention to be eligible to go to the next convention. But you have to have your name down. So what does that mean? You have to communicate. You communicate to your precinct chair and let them know you do want to attend the next convention. And is that your county or senatorial? It's very important that you do that, and make sure, get people involved, get them to go to all of the different conventions. Again, it's our opportunity to have our voice heard. So I would ask you to do that, but you have to turn all the paperwork in. Go to texasgop.org. Now here, this kind of gives you the idea of what goes on, and that is you are going to elect a permanent chairman for your precinct. You are typically the precinct chair is the temporary. Typically, they're elected the permanent, but they don't have to be. That's not an absolute given, but they hopefully have put in a lot of work, and that they should be there and being a participating. Then as I talk about, about the delegates, and then also the platform. Jennifer was talking about platform earlier. We might go into that, but it must be in writing is what it is. And I'm going to get that. Let's see, resolutions. Here you go. So you have resolutions is what you've got here. And so what you're going with, this is like a formal statement or expression of an opinion, as you can see right there. Anybody can offer a resolution on any topic, but it has to be passed by the convention. And some people just bundle them together at their precinct convention and just send them on to the next convention. Many times in our convention, my precinct convention, which my husband was the precinct chair, we always discuss these resolutions, and we passed each one individually, or we lumped them together if we all agreed. Now, as Jennifer was mentioning before, we have a lot of resolutions in our platform. In fact, we have a very long platform. our platform is very long. We have like 300 and some odd pages, if I'm not mistaken, and it's broken up into categories. Anyway, read it. I mean, it would be nice if you did read it and you know what was in there. And if your topic is already in there, say that this is the resolution that you like. And as Jennifer had mentioned earlier in our conversation before we started, that you can take that and say, and write it out or type it out and say that you are confirming or reaffirming that you like that resolution and you want it to stay in the platform is what you want to do. So, because it does, as she says, this is one of the most challenging committees and time commitment committees that you can imagine, hours and hours, and that starts before the precinct convention. So read the platform. If you have something new, or if you like something, or if you don't, you can also put that in there. So that, is good to be aware of what our platform states. I want you to know there are some states that have no platform. There are some states that only have one page. So they're all range across the nation in different ways of how they are done. Now we have now been elected as a delegate to the senatorial and county conventions. Ours is going to, oh, wait, back to precincts. So before I go there, what I want to say about a precinct, know when your precinct convention is going to be. Okay, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Karen, are we not having in Bexar County? It is the night after the polls close, March 5th. There are some precincts that are going to be, if I'm not mistaken, Dallas has their precinct conventions on Thursday the 7th. If I'm not mistaken, they're going to be in the evening in Dallas. A number of counties are having theirs on Saturday. And now here in Kendall County, we're having ours on the 23rd. We will meet first. We will come together and we will meet before the county convention, have our precinct convention, and then we will end up going to moving on to our county convention. Now, that means that work has to be done before. Work has to be done before you go into any one of these conventions. But you can ask and volunteer to be on there, but just expect you have to spend time, especially on the resolutions committee. Then we're going to move on to senatorial and county conventions, March 23rd. Everybody has to have that done on March 23rd. And these, as we talked about, the delegates are chosen from the precinct convention. Again, I stress, if you want to go to this convention, you let your precinct chair know that you want to go if you can't attend your precinct convention. Those are elected, so just make sure that you're lobbying and letting people know that's what you want to do. As you can see, these are the temporary committees as credentials, rules, permanent, nominations, and resolution. You have those committees, those 5 committees there. You can serve on those. If you ask whoever here, we would go to our county chair. In the larger counties, they divide them up in, to the person in charge of that senatorial district. So you can ask to get on it, and you say, well, I don't know anything about it. Well, so, find out, learn, teach yourself, talk to people that have been on the committees and know that what the job entails. Like, as we've talked, the resolutions entails a lot of time. Credential means that you're going to work, a little bit before, making sure the people that are coming in, that they have voted and they were elected as a delegate at the precinct convention, and then you're going to check them in. Each one, your rules is going to be about the rules that you have for the day there, and not about the rules for the convention that we pass at the convention on the state level, but what your temporary rules are. And there are all guidelines for that. Anyway, these meetings happen before, so be able to make the commitment. If you're going to say, yes, I want to do this, make a commitment to before of attending meetings. It's a very short period of time, I mean, you might already be on a committee. I've heard a lot of people are working on these committees already. And as for nominations of going on to the state convention, you might find out what the procedure is, because there are applications, in most state counties that I'm aware of, that you have to fill out an application. It's submitted to the chairman of the nominations, and they have a committee, and then they vote on, figure out who's going to be a delegate and who's going to be an alternate. Now, sometimes they don't all get filled up, so put your name in and you just automatically go. Each place is a little different. I know in the larger counties, they will meet into their precinct and at the state, at their senatorial, and then they will pick one or two, whatever they are allotted, out of their precinct, and then they have at large. So know the procedure, know how it is working before you end up just saying, oh, I want to be one, and you think it's going to happen. Know how it works so that you're aware and that you don't get frustrated the day of. Now, the two committees, resolutions and nominations, as you see here, are voted on at the by the convention, by the delegates as a whole, is what they do. So resolutions, they'll be submitted from the committee, but people can add, or they can say, there can be discussion on each one. I would hope in the rules that you would do, have a for and against, and you have so many, and you have a time limit on how long you discuss one resolution, and then you vote on that. Or you can pass them all as one and get them forward onto the state convention. Every district, every convention is going to be a little bit different. Nominations, you also have the situation to where the nominating committee submits that to the body and to be voted on. I have personally seen to where another group has come in and they have submitted a whole new slate, brand new, and it totally floored the committee because they had no idea that this was coming. And so then there was major discussion. Is this right? Are they following parliamentary procedure? And which they had, and they actually replaced 90% of the people that the permanent committee had submitted. So be aware of that. I mean, these things can happen, and the nominations committee worked hours on putting these names together, and they had discussion, and then have a new slate all of a sudden presented on the floor the day of the convention. It can get a little frustrating, but it is part of the process. And so you need to know what the process is. Okay, then we're going to go to the state convention is what we're going to do. That is going to be on the May 23rd to the 25th. Now I say that, but there is a situation here that if you get elected or you get nominated to be on a committee, then you have to plan on being there from the beginning of the week all the way through the end of the week. And that's at your own expense. And that can get very costly. But if this is something that you're passionate about and you want to do it, you can end up being be put in that position. So this is what so the first day, as you see here, is that you have the permanent committee members are elected. So let's talk about that for a minute. You just, all this work is done ahead of time. I mean, it's not you just show up at the convention on Monday if you were put into that as a temporary member. You have lots of work prior to, but how do you become a temporary member of a committee? As we had talked about those other committees we were talking about just a moment ago. How do you get to be rules or get onto platform or get onto nominations? What you do is that your SREC members you have a man and a woman SREC member, and they come together and make a decision who they want from their district to represent them on those different committees. Now, if the two of them want two different people and they submit both names to the state, then the state chairman will pick either one of those, or he can pick, or being Matt is our chair, would be able to pick someone else. They pick one of the two that have been submitted. So that is how tie is basically broken. And then what you do is that you end up, the committee puts in all these hours of work, especially platform rules, and they do all this work. They go and they work Monday through Thursday, and then on Thursday there is an election, and that election is at the caucus meeting is when that is done. So you come in, you're meeting in the caucus, and you're electing your chairman and your the chairman of the caucus, and you're electing these permanent committee members. And I think a number of us are seasoned on this call. We have seen temporary members get removed and somebody else is put in. It's a process. You can't get angry. It's part of it. So, you want to be able to communicate with the people that are in your caucus as you're going up, and maybe communicating, letting them know what's going on in your committee. And but those are elected on that first day. And then on the second day is the really big elections also. Well, every election is big. You're electing your senatorial, your SREC member, your state Republican executive committee, man and woman. So there's election that day. Then at the general, then you're also at your caucus. You're also on that second day is that you are electing your state chairman and vice chairman is what's going on. And then that can get taken to the floor, and they can also, if there is a challenge, election can go to the floor at the general meeting. Also, all of this information is also, again, I'm going to tell you, texasgop.org. You can go there to look at everything if you need to do it. The platform is also done on, is elected by the whole body, and they end up, that can go on and on and on. And sometimes it has to go to the next day. Or sometimes what I've seen is that, especially when you end up having, the congressional district, our caucuses this time, they will, what I've seen in the past, which I'm not sure a number of you have, is that they will do a temporary adjournment or a pause until after the gala, and then they bring everybody back after the gala or the dinner and start to finish the discussion on platform. But the whole body has to agree to this, is what they have to do. It's important, but because our platform is so long, and because it takes a long time to they discuss some of the hot topics, sometimes we are discussing this and people get frustrated. And that's why we need to be able to educate the people that are going. They get frustrated and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going on. And then they just pass it all and they don't care what's in there. Well, if I'm not mistaken, on the platform, we do vote on that. I'm not sure if they're going to do that this time. And I forgot to ask that question, because we have done the platform to where we've had the voting by the electronic voting, and we've done like the fill in the bubble voting. I can't remember what that's called, but
Scantron. We'll be using Scantron this time.
Oh, we are going to do Scantron. Okay, thank you, Karen. And so that means that you get, how many planks do we have? 300 and some odd planks.
Oh no, it's less than 300, 257, I believe.
Oh, it was 354 pages. I'm sorry, I got the pages and the planks confused. So
49 pages.
And that includes the legislative priorities and the rules too.
And rules are going to be voted that way also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to decide the party rules.
Great. Okay. And are they going to do rule by rule and this type of voting? Because, just on the whole.
Proposed changes, I believe.
I see. Okay. Great.
a
I
whole.
was not aware of that. Thank you, Karen. I'm glad. I had asked Karen to step in and add and to insert when I needed some help. Obviously, I needed some help there is what I did. So, but no, but that's important to know. Hey, Karen, why don't you take a second since you did bring that up and explain that real quick, how that works, that portion.
All right, so on Saturday, you're gonna sit in the General Assembly and vote on the platform. So here's an insider tip, bring an eraser. Because the pencils last time didn't have any, and so I wound up having the community eraser for my entire caucus. So you'll be very popular if you bring one, so that you can fill it out at the top correctly. We're going to vote on the platform planks and the legislative priorities, and the rules are going to be on our Scantrons, and you sit there and you fill in the little bubbles, and your caucus leader can't leave until they collect the last one. And these are only going to be distributed to delegates who have delegate badges. So it's a lot of bubbles to fill out. And the way you're going to pick it is the night before, a large copy of the freshly finished platform from the platform committee will be printed and will appear on your seat. So you can look at them page by page and you can read and see if you approve of them. And it's divided into 10 sections, including the preamble and principles.
So Karen, so then, one of the things, is it gonna be electronic also besides being hard copy on our seats?
Yes, it will be. The live working document will be online available. But if I were you guys, I would, because there's thousands of people in one place trying to use the internet, it could be spotty. I would if you're really interested, download the working document that will be online before you get to the convention center. And you'll be able to see each night we're going to upload it from the platform committee, what work has been done that day.
Wow, are you on the platform committee?
I am the platform committee assistant / manager / whatever needs doing.
Great. And so then, so they'll have it on Friday night. No. Thursday night, they'll have the platform printed and on our seats Thursday, and then Friday we vote on it.
That sounds right. You'll have it on your seats by the morning of voting.
Oh, the morning of.
Right, because like last time we had to have it in and be finished as a committee. Well, initially we had been told we had till 11, then it wound up going down till 9. There was a little bit of pandemonium to finish the platform in time to get it to the printer, because that's a lot of printing out of a lot of pages we have to have by the next morning.
Well, and I think that this is a key point, everybody, that you follow this, if you can follow it. And I would imagine there's a link going to be on the TexasGOP.org website that you can follow. Know it, because it takes a long time to do the voting. And what I've done is when I go through that, I look at the no's. If I'm not real happy with something, I'll mark that, so that I know which one to vote no on, if I'm going to vote no, and then, or I want to change. So I know that, and to make sure that, it is brought out to the side, because it can be very challenging. And you get very upset because you can't get all the way through all of the platforms. I mean, every single plank. So.
And the debate and the testimonies will be live streamed as well. I'd imagine on the Texas GOP YouTube channel. And so that you can actually watch the debate about the planks, addition, subtraction issues. So if you want to see what went into it, or if there's one particular issue that you're most interested in, you can watch all day Wednesday. The general session of the platform committee is going to be live streamed.
And so, maybe one other tip here. I mean, I do have tips coming up, but one other tip that we could look at, Karen, can they not, if they know who their representative is from their district, maybe they could have their cell phone and text them as they're watching it live saying, hey, I agree with that person. Or maybe you look at this point. I mean, don't go into a whole long, text. But do a small text, agreeing, disagreeing, and why, so, I mean, that way you're communicating directly with your representative.
Right, and you can find out from your SREC members who is your representative from your district on the committee, and they're the best person to be able to convey your opinions or what you want to convey. They're your representative on the committee, so let them know. Just find out who that person is from your SREC member.
And if I'm not mistaken, I remember that I believe those are also posted ahead of time on the website too, is what they are.
Yes, these are public appointments once the chairman confirms the SREC's appointments to these committees.
Right. Do
So
we have-
they'll all have their laptops and their phones with them, so you can text or email them.
Oh, there you go. You can email too. Then you can make it a little longer than a yes or no or agree or not. So good, great information. Thank you, Karen. I'm glad that that you shared all that. Well, then we're going to go in. This is a presidential year, and we're going to talk about the third day, which is a congressional district. That's the day that we're electing 3 delegates, 3 alternates to the national convention from each congressional district. And there's a lot of play in there. Just don't think that you can walk in the day of the third day and think you can get elected. Now, some people have, but I would say, you know, find out who's trying to put the numbers together, or once you see, you can request the delegate list or by congressional and start lobbying, you know, like you're running for a position, because that's what you're doing to go to the national convention. Now, there's also, besides the 3 delegates and the 3 alternates, there are also at-large positions and there is a committee, and that person representing you is elected to that committee that is elected, that will help with the nominations and figuring out, you know, who's going to be the representatives. And you can go in and you can testify there also. So it's a really big deal to do that. So you have 2 avenues. You get elected from your congressional district, or you get elected as at large, is what you would do. You are also going to elect your national committee man and committee woman. Right now, there's only one. Robin is running for re-election. I don't believe he has an opponent at this point, but you can 1 hour before the convention is called the order. You can declare. Right now, there are 2. I am not running for re-election, and that there are 2 people running in for the national committee woman. Now another one right there is the elector. That's a big deal. They are going to be elected that day. And they will be representing in December. They'll represent, they'll go to Austin to represent the Republican Party. And then our nominee. And then, as you see there, on that one, you serve on the national nominations. There is an election for that person too. That will be happening. They get elected, then they go right to the from there they go right over to the committee and start all their work. But you fill out that application ahead of time, because that will be on the texasgop.org. Now here's some tips. If and you guys might have some other ones out there, like you know, we just heard about an eraser. I'm gonna have to have that put on there, Karen, because that's a good idea. Have an eraser while you're filling in all those little bubbles if you end up deciding that you didn't fill in the right one. But the comfortable shoes, if it's tennis shoes or whatever your comfortable shoes, I mean, I have put in over 20 steps a day. 20,000 steps a day. And I mean, your feet can get very tired. If you're wearing, you know, high heels, you know, if you want to have the high heels, one of my many of us I will take a bag and I'll put in my high heels if I need to change, wear my tennis shoes, and then I'll switch out if I'm going to go to a meeting. You know, wear layered clothes. I mean, in fact, I think one time, if I'm not mistaken, I told Bisa at one meeting, I said, Bisa, I'm freezing to death. And so she went out to the vendor, got me a wrap and brought it back. Do you think I would know, right? How many times have I been to a convention? But I forget. Layer your clothes. It can get cold, it can get hot, but make sure you're comfortable, because it's always miserable to be one or the other. To have that backpack or large bag. Now, sometimes the rules, they might be, I'm not sure. Have you heard, Karen, is the rule is that, can they bring a backpack in or does it have to be clear? So, we were going through that. It doesn't,
No, it doesn't have to be clear.
okay. And are
Can't
they
bring a
gonna allow
cooler.
us to, are they gonna allow us to bring water and snacks in? If they're at the bottom of your backpack, under all of your layered.
Don't get us in trouble with the contract with the food and drink vendors. Be discreet.
That's a very nice way of saying that, Karen. Very good. I bring that extra charger for your phone because a lot of times we're going around trying to find plugs and the plugs are used up. Yeah, if you have chargers, bring them. Make sure they're well charged so that that can replenish your phone. Or if you have to, well, I don't know if the laptop would be wise. I would use your phone. Do a first aid kit. What do you have in there? Band-aids, you might, different things that make you comfortable. Now, these next things I think are so important. Be a scout. Know where your meeting rooms are. Know the timing. I mean, when I get to the convention and I get there early, if it's Thursday morning or if I come in on Wednesday, say, I'll go and scout the place out and I figure out what time, how much time does it take to go from my meeting room to the general caucus, or if I'm going to go from my meeting room to an event. You need to know those things because you might be a 10-minute walk. You think, oh no, it can't be that far. Oh, well, sometimes it can. And the other thing is you get stopped and you're starting, you're talking to people. So be aware, follow the schedule. The schedule will be coming out sometime soon if it's not already, but they will be able, know where everything is, know where the grassroots event's going to be, where the gala, the caucuses, the prayer breakfast, be there. And there's also an event on usually the luncheon on congressional luncheon on Saturday. And that happens every 4 years. Important, but be comfortable, stay warm, and be well rested because you won't be rested when you leave, but be well rested when you come so that you can enjoy having a good time. Then we're going to have the Milwaukee, the RNC convention in Milwaukee, and that's going to be July 15th through the 18th. And that is where we are going. Obviously, it's held before the presidential election. And that is where we are going to do a number of things there. Our biggest thing is to elect our nominee for president and vice president. One of the things which I did mention, if you have been elected a delegate or an alternate, you have to be willing to stay for a meeting after the convention, the state convention adjourns, because at that meeting, we elect a man and a woman to serve on the temporary committee, and that is platform and rules. And that is something that we do that election. So, and then they will commit to going early to the national convention. So we do approve our rules and our platform. Now in 2020, that was an unusual situation. And we just carried over the 16 platform and rules because we did not really have a convention. We had representatives, I believe there were 6 from every state, and that's where we nominated our president and vice president, because obviously we need to do that so that they can be on the ballot, and that we can get them elected, and we will get them elected this year. We are going to work very hard to get our president and vice president on candidates elected. Now, and the other thing to know is about being a volunteer. You'll see that I have the address, the website to where you can go and sign up and to be a volunteer. They have professional volunteers. They kind of work, they come in early and they have long hours, and there's not as many of them, but then they need like 8,000 hours of volunteer work through the convention, multiple type of jobs. Go in and put your sign up if you feel like, I would do it now, even though you might be trying to go as a delegate or an alternate. go and sign up as a volunteer to see if you can get in. So then that way you get to be a part of the whole process is what you can do. So, whoops, wait, no, where'd you go? So anyway, that is, I want you to be involved. I want you to have a good time. Again, many of you that I have seen, here on this call, you know, that you are veterans, and I get that. And I thank you for listening again. I saw that Cassie Daniels came on too. She is the expert of experts to give this, this PowerPoint, but, and information. But everybody has so much knowledge. Share it. And if you have questions, you know, which I think we have maybe have a few questions, Karen, that you might be asking, and that we can get answered for you. But so I'm going to, before I go into the question, Jennifer, I'm going to give you just a minute to talk about what you did beforehand on the platform. As if you want to, yeah, there, I see you unmuted. So go ahead.
Thank you so much, Tony Ann. Yes, so please read the platform before you decide to write a resolution. Odds are your resolution will already be in there. If you are submitting handwritten resolutions, please make sure you have your name and your phone number or contact information. If the committee wants to reach out to you, sometimes we have a question, we may love your resolution, but we're not sure about something. If you're submitting handwritten ones, please, and you're changing a plank or subtracting a plank, please make sure that you put in the plank number and the section. Also, if you're adding a plank, tell us where you want it to go, because we often divide up these planks for these sections by person. So if we're sorting through 200 resolutions, it makes it us go a lot faster to just know, oh, this one's for education. Okay, that's going to go to Jane. This one's for preamble. That's going to go to so-and-so. The resolution builder on the Texas GOP website, I took a look at it. We were sitting here. It's really good and really thorough. Go take a look at that. If you are in Collin County, we're going to go digital this year. So if you want to, I'm having a training on how to do that at headquarters on March the 2nd at 2 p.m. Just let me know if you want to attend. We don't need the whereases. Keep your resolutions short, simple, and to the point. And we are not writing a platform from scratch. We are adding, subtracting, or changing. And if you want to reaffirm a plank, make sure, I don't know, you love plank number 60 and you want it to stay in there, put reaffirming at the top. This way the platform committee knows this is already in there, you just want it to stay. I see Cassie Daniels just said, no, yeah, amen, no whereases in the chat. I think that is it. Thank you so much, Tony Ann, for letting me say that. I appreciate it.
Well, Jennifer, it's good information that we shared, and thank you for being willing to share. We appreciate you for that and all the hard work that you're doing, and are going to continue to do for the next couple months. So, Karen, do we have any other questions?
There have been 2 questions. Kathy asks, can we attend a part of the RNC meeting that you mentioned in Houston? Where will it be? And is it open to the public?
The answer is no, it's not open to the public. You have to be registered and you have to be a guest. They are only allowing 1 guest this time per member. And I don't even think the general meeting is going to be open even to the guests. So anyway, so the answer is yes, you can go, but you have to have a pass, and they're very limited.
All right. And another question, if no one else shows up, or if I tell the people I've invited, can I hold the precinct convention at my kitchen table? What if we've been locked outside our precinct convention location after the poll closes in the past?
Well, you know, that's a great question. I mean, I can remember Bill Crocker holding, actually, I think it was his SD. They kicked him out of their location, and they went in the parking lot and finished the they ended up finishing their meeting, or their convention. As for, I mean, having it at your kitchen table, well, the thing is, I mean, if you had a lot of people know that that was the location, then that's okay. But if you don't announce the location, then you can't have a precinct convention there. I mean, so you need to let the people know, and typically that is, there will be either a sign posted at the precinct voting location, and it gives the details. And then if you go there and if you are locked out of that location, then you hold it in the parking lot, on the sidewalk, stay warm. Hopefully it's not raining, but yes, you can have it, but people need to know where you're going to be is what happens. And yes, you can be the only one.
That looks like the only questions that came in.
Are there some hints or tips or something, Karen, that you want to share? Oh, you have one yourself, don't you?
I do, if you don't mind.
I don't, please.
All right. This is my example of a resolution. The do's and don'ts. If anybody has ever looked at the platform, the word whereas does not appear anywhere in it. So while you might need whereas, as you think, to give context and explain to people what you're trying to accomplish and why, in the actual be it resolved and then the rest, there shouldn't be any of that. So this is my M&M's example. Your resolutions that essentially boil down to M&M's should be the official state candy of Texas, and every Texan should be required to carry a package at all times. Or whatever you're trying to accomplish. Short and sweet. Tell us what the stance of the Republican Party of Texas should be without the whereases. And can you see the resolution builder now?
Yes.
Page? Okay, so if you go to the Texas GOP website, you click on convention, and I encourage everybody to do that. It's a smorgasbord of useful information for all levels of conventions: precinct, SD, county, and state convention. And this is where you're going to go after you get elected at your SD convention or county convention. This is where you're going to go to register for the convention, because everybody, I hope, is going to register ahead of time and not stand in extra lines when they get to the convention. But you click on resolution builder and you'll see this fab document, in my opinion, because I loved it that Jennifer said that they're going digital, because digital helps us successfully process your resolutions. And you don't have to use the resolution builder, but I recommend it because it's a success path for your particular issue. It guarantees that it won't fall through the cracks. We have it in an electronic format, and it gives us the information that we need about it. Like she mentioned, tell us what category it falls within. Let's see here. Oops. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but if you scroll down on the convention builder, there is a platform category of the resolution with a drop down. And it asks you whether your particular plan that you're proposing belongs in finance, education, health and human services. You have a choice. Don't make up a category. They already exist in the platform. And so tell us where yours belongs, where it fits in. It also says, are you amending a plank in the platform? If so, what number? It gives you a place for the whereas, and then it gives you a place for the be it resolved language. Now it does say submit at the bottom, but by submit, it means it emails you a copy. This is not bypassing the convention process. It's giving it to you in a digital format that you can print out and take to your convention, your precinct convention, your SD convention. And then once it passes at your precinct convention, I strongly recommend that you email it to your SD or county convention chairman, or if you already know who the resolutions committee chairman is, email it to them. This just creates it in a perfect format to send and submit to the next convention. And then they can put it in, the secretary of that convention can send it on to the state in this very successful format. We'll know who submitted it, from what county, and all the information we need to know is attached.
That, or you have another point?
Nope, I just can't, I'm figuring out how to unscreen share.
Uh,
There we go.
Well, I think I saw one more or two more questions pop in, and we only have 5 minutes left. Do you see that? I know that you were, I
Yes,
mean, okay,
David Stein mentions that it is a Texas election code requirement to post in English and Spanish the locations of all precinct conventions at each of the voting locations. So if you're going to have it at your kitchen, it at least has to be posted in English and Spanish at every poll. And then
thank
then
you,
Kathy
David.
Rogers says,
That was very good information, David. Go ahead, Karen.
yeah, so that answers that. So you can hold it there, but it needs to be the publicly noticed location. And then Kathy Rogers says, if your SD chair goofs up on the notice, you can hold a rump convention.
I would, if that's the case, I would make sure that you follow all the laws to make sure it's done correctly, is what I would do. But I'd help if you know that they're coming into a deadline, they haven't posted it, come on, guys, help the people out and let that, so they can get it done correctly. You say, if you haven't seen it, make a call to your precinct chair and say, hey, what's the deal? And go from there. Go ahead.
And the last thing is, remember that you have to have your precinct convention packet documents back in within 3 days. Because if you want your delegates, you want to get to the next convention, you need to have them submitted. You have 3 calendar days after precinct convention to turn them in.
That's good information. I just saw another question pop up.
Can anyone register as a guest at the state convention? Yes, you can.
And you can register as a volunteer if you want to volunteer, because they need a lot of volunteers too. And they have all that information. I mean, they've done an excellent job on that website is what they've done in putting information there. Okay, so we are wrapping this up. It seems to me there was one other question I saw pop in that I thought needed to be answered. Do you see something there, Karen, that
I see the question about being a guest. Yes, you can be, but you do need to register. You need a badge to get into any of the meetings. So you can't just show up and walk in.
That's right, because of security. I mean, we have to be aware of the security is what we do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start wrapping this up. We have 2 minutes till we end. It'll be 8 o'clock. Now we come to the part of the challenge. First, let me say thank you. Thank you, Karen, for everything. Jennifer, thank you for sharing. All of you for participating, for all the years that you have participated. Let's continue to do so. And let's get more people in, because we have, as I have mentioned before many times, we have a lot of new people in Texas. We're very aware of that. And if they're coming from different states, you know what? They don't know our process. Let them know, reach out to those people and those new movers that are coming in. Many that have come from California, New York, or Illinois that have made the decision to come to Texas. They are conservative. They need to be welcomed. Let's show them what the process is and get them involved. Now, the one thing I want to really make sure that you know, when is your precinct convention? As I said, I know that Bexar County is on the night of the primary. I know that Dallas County is on the 7th. I know it seems to me that's a Thursday night. They're in Harris County. There is Saturday. Ours is on the 23rd. There are many different dates. You guys need to make the call, be aware, and end up getting that information out and sharing the correct information. And then the other challenges, see if you can serve on a committee and help out and be a part of the process in a positive way. And as you guys give so much of your time, just do a little bit more. I want to thank all of you for coming on. Thank everybody that participated, that wrote in. I really do love having the calls. It always feels good to be able to have everybody here. So thank you so much for everything that all of you do. And God bless you. Have a great weekend, everybody.